Welcome to NBA Jam!
Boom shakalaka! He's on fire! If you remember those phrases and if you know what they mean, you're gonna love this next review, or reviews. It's NBA Jam Tournament Edition on the SNES and the Saturn. It's a double episode today on Power Up. The show. For this episode, well, I should say I'm actually going to do 2 episodes in one. So I'm gonna try this new little thing, doing 2 episodes, and the 2 games I'm going to be reviewing to celebrate the start of the NBA season coming very soon. Or at least I think it's training camp or something right now. I think the season doesn't begin until November. But anyway, I'm going to do these 2 games. NBA Jam Tournament Edition on the Super Nintendo and the Sega Saturn. I'm mainly going to do mostly a small comparison between the 2, but because they are somewhat different. So first of all, I'm going to go into the history and then get into the good stuff. Well, let's go shoot some hoops. Well, first, a little history. NBA Jam, well, the first NBA Jam was released in arcades in 1993. The main designer and the programmer who programmed it was Mark Turmel. NBA Jam was actually based, the gameplay of NBA Jam was based on Arch Rivals, which was another 2-on-2 basketball game. But it was the release of NBA Jam that brought success to the genre. I should say mainstream success to the genre. And it did exceptionally well, generating $1 billion in quarters. Now that's a lot of quarters. And of course, after NBA Jam did so well, after that, then Midway released NBA Jam Tournament Edition, which had updated rosters as well as more players on each team to choose from. And also as well, besides NBA Jam PE, there are a couple other sports games made by, published by Acclaim, among other things, and developed by Midway. And those are such as College Slam, which was more like a college basketball kind of NBA Jam, but only college basketball. As well as there's NBA Hang Time, which came out for the N64. I believe Sony PlayStation and the Super Nintendo, as you can see here. And there's also there was also NBA Showtime, NBA on NBC. Besides on the Dreamcast, as you see here, and there's also on the PlayStation and the N64 as well. And also much later, after NBA Showtime came out, there was NBA Hoops, which changed it a little bit to a 3-on-3 game instead of a 2-on-2. But I had it, but I didn't care much for it. And I usually don't trade in my games too much, but I thought it was kind of bland, and I didn't care much for it. So, new to NBA Jam Tournament Edition is a couple new features, such as Tournament Mode, which disables all cheats, turns off computer assistance, and it disables everything else. So it's basically you need pure skill to beat the computer. Also, there are hotspots also added to the game, which as you go on the court, you'll see star numbers on the court. If you step on that number and hit the basket from that number, you'll get, let's say if the number was a 6. If you hit a basket from that spot, instead of getting 2 or 3 points, you get 6 points, which makes games a whole lot interesting if you ask me. And also there's power-ups, which also give you temporary on-fire ability without having to sink 3 baskets in a row, and even make full court dunks for the limited time. How cool is that? And also, what also is new to NBA Jam Tournament Edition is after each quarter of play, you can make substitutions. Because now there's an injury stat added to this game, so it kind of brings some strategy to it too. You know, rest, right? Let's say if you play as Orlando, like I did in this review here. You know, I think, should I rest Grant for a little bit and have another player go in, or should I take the risk and leave him in there to see what happens? So it's pretty cool in that respect. And what's also neat as well, there's also hidden players, such as, of course, since this game came out in the mid-90s, you could play as then President Bill Clinton. That's pretty. I thought that was pretty funny. And to note, in the recent iteration of NBA Jam that came out for the Wii, Xbox 360, and PS3, you could also play as President Barack Obama, as well as some of the Democrats, and for you political types, you could also play some of the Republicans, such as George H.W. Bush and Dick Cheney, among others. So you could really have a little fun there. Oh, and by the way, also, if I should note for hidden players, besides the political guys, NBA Jam Tournament Edition has the Beastie Boys. I think it has Randall Cunningham at the time. I think he was on the Eagles at the time. There's Prince Charles from, yes, that Prince Charles, as in the Prince of England. Let's see, as well as Larry Bird, and also the usual mascots, like the usual mascots, as well. You can play as well. Of course, there are differences between the two games. For example, on the Super Nintendo, there's no player scaling like the arcade had. Because in the arcade, if the player went away from you, they get smaller, and if they come close to you, they get bigger. The Super Nintendo, because of its capabilities, could not do that. And also, they could not use the actual player faces when you played the game. They're basically made up or something like that. They couldn't use actual player faces. Whereas in the Sega Saturn version, because it's more capable, they could do player scaling, which is cool, for more arcade accurate experience. But I have noticed the court seems more zoomed in. Like it seems like it's like I don't know how to explain it, but in the review you'll see as you see in these shots I took of the review, it does seem like you're really like, wow, I'm really up close. It's really weird actually, because you know, although I do like it, it's still a very fun experience nonetheless. And also for the Saturn version, because on a 32-bit console, it sounds a lot more better. It sounds a bit better. I really like it. It sounds more. Has much more pizzazz. There's actually like when I first turn on it to the title screen, it's a cool little rock thing going on. It's pretty neat, and so that's also a cool little bonus as well. Even though it's not a deal breaker, of course. So, well, if I had to choose one or the other, wow, that's actually a tough decision. I actually had a Super Nintendo at first, so I'm more as partial to the Super Nintendo version, just because that's what version I grew up playing. But the Sega Saturn version, if you don't mind the zoomed in port, that it's a very good arcade port. So, but both of them I think are pretty fun. So it kind of, but though I prefer the Super Nintendo version because of course that's the version I grew up with. But they're both very excellent games, and so either one is pretty awesome. And as usual, if you live in or around South St. Paul, Minnesota, or in the Minnesota Twin Cities metro area in particular, please, as usual, visit my good friends at Level Up Games. Besides awesome video games, they have tabletop games, as well as Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic, and Pokemon cards. So please give them a look, and if it hasn't already, here's the address and their website down below. Hello there. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, please rate and subscribe to my channel. And also, I have a Twitter feed, a website, and a Facebook fan page and Facebook group page as well. And all that information is down below as well. Well, anyway, as usual, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for another episode of Power Up.
NBA Jam Halftime Report. Altitude with an attitude.